if I just recently graduated, I would move to Denver because there's so much work going on here. There's a lot of exciting projects happening, and architecture has really come a long way in Denver. I think ever since the MCA opened in about 2005, if I'm remembering correctly, the expectation for architecture here has really gone up. It's more than just big single-family vacation homes up in the mountains. There's actually, we're starting to get a real city here. Recent graduates should know there's a lot of push to get licensed right away, and what we've seen in practice is that that can be problematic if you don't know everything you need to know. School doesn't always prepare you, but the one thing the licensure does for an architect is open them up for liability. You can be sued. Hopefully something bad doesn't happen and people get hurt. But you're being licensed based on life safety. It's not about your ability to design. And so I think that's something to keep in mind. I think if one can be patient and learn, remember that you have 40, 50, 60 years to practice. And you'll learn every day of that. So Studio Completiva, my firm, the firm where I work, we like to think of ourselves as a mission-based practice. We look for projects with a community impact, with a social impact. We feel that differentiates ourselves in that a lot of practices become market-based. They develop certain expertise. It becomes very easy to carry that over into the next project, and it's a desired quality. It's a great thing to know what you're doing when you go into a project. We don't want to be so focused, though. We want to make sure that we measure our success more by sort of how well our buildings kind of how nice a place they make. We look for projects that can improve people's lives. We want them to be financially successful for us as well as for the clients, but we also want to make sure that they're good buildings and that they're doing what is intended of them, and that they're sort of lifting their neighborhood up as well. So the kinds of projects we look for, that places where we think that it will have a social impact or community impact. Projects like libraries, schools, affordable housing is something we do quite a bit of. We're also looking at event space. We have a project that is a combination of office and event space with a very large public park. Anything that gives back to their community that has some aspect in the public realm. I think it would be wonderful. I'd like to see how the School of Architecture is looking at the role of education in an architect's training. There are all kinds of schools, and I think it's necessary for there to be so. I think Syracuse gave me a great broad foundation, which was also kind of based in theory. Many schools are really racing to get practical experience for people, which is a necessary thing, and it's how you get a job. But it doesn't necessarily make you a great architect or set you up with asking the right questions in your practice. So I think if you could challenge the students to think about what they expect from their education, and to understand what Syracuse is offering to that end. And juries in different schools, you see just a range of projects, students that just kind of meet the requirements. They have enough residential units, they have 2 doors, 2 stairs, but you don't enough see kind of a concept behind there, or some way that the project transcends just that program. I think the schools can be best served by coming up with a way for the students to kind of get the bigger picture. Somebody who does an architect here in town, he does a lot of higher ed projects, and he explained to me that there's 2 kinds of institutions. One's where you go to learn, and one's where you go to train. think is, might be paraphrasing. But learning, you can think of it generally as more of like a liberal arts education, where you're kind of just understanding how to think. And I thought that was a great thing that Syracuse did for me. A lot of other people in my class were just there to be trained. And so I think it's important that everyone asks themselves what they're trying to get out of it, and that the school understand what it's giving.